Good, thanks. I would just, I'm Dzanga, and I'm doing a little interview, research interview on the plans I have for what I'm planning. And I would just like for you to give me a little background on what you enjoy doing and who you are.
Okay, my name's Naya. I enjoy singing, writing, reading, and doing like practicing cheerleading. And
Okay.
I'm 16 years old. I'm from the United States. And yeah,
Okay. Why do you enjoy cheerleading?
um, I really like to, in cheerleading, we like lift people in the air and we stunt. And then we do a lot of like flips, like front flips and back flips. And I've pretty much been a cheerleader since I was like 4. I don't know why. I just love it.
Okay. I understand. So, I want to ask you a few questions about um traveling and what you think about it, Just like to find different points and different perspectives is how you see things and how I can better my research. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay. The first question I have for you is, have you ever traveled before and where were you traveling to?
I have traveled before. I've been a lot of places, but I've never traveled outside of the United States. I've been
Okay.
to I've been to Florida, Texas, Indiana, Minnesota, um, Wisconsin, Tennessee, just like all the states pretty much.
Okay. And where are you from? Like, where in the United States are you from?
Michigan.
Ooh, okay. So, like, what do you enjoy about Michigan? Like, if if you were to not migrate, if you were to move to another place outside of North America, the continent, and outside of South America in general, but other continents, which place would you go to and why? Like, will Michigan always be your home where it's like, even if I'm not content outside or I'm happy outside my home country, I'll always come back here.
Um, I'm not sure where I would go outside of America, but I do plan on like leaving and going somewhere else. But I'm not exactly sure because I want to go somewhere that's like as similar to America as possible. But I'm not really just messing with America anymore. So I don't know where I would go.
Okay. So, how was your experience when you traveled to any of the states that that you mentioned? Like, how was your experience, and like, tell me a whole story, how you started planning your travel and how you got back, like the whole process from day one until whenever you came back.
When we went to Florida, we had woke up extremely early in the morning because our flight was early. So we got up at like 4, and then we got to the airport at 5. But before we got there, we ate. And then when we got to the airport, we had got our luggage like tagged or something like that. And
Yeah.
then we got on the plane at 6. And then we left for Florida and we didn't get there till like 8 in the morning. And then after we got to the airport in Florida, we went and we got our bags. And then we drove to our hotel. And then we all got like cleaned up. And then we went. Have you ever heard of Universal Studios?
Yes, I know
Yeah.
Universal. It's one of the many places I want to go to, but carry on.
Yeah, we went to Universal Studios for the entire day. And then I think we ate there too. Yeah, so then we didn't leave there until like probably 10 at night. And then we left and then we kind of just did the same thing the next day. And then after the next day, like the day after, we didn't go because we had been there for like 2 whole days, so we just stayed at the hotel and we went swimming. And then and then I think we went to the mall after our break. And then on the last day, we went to Universal Studios again, and then we came back home.
Okay. Um, Please, can you describe your visit to the different cultures or your town and how it shocked or shook you? Like, how different was Florida from Michigan? Or, yeah,
Florida's a lot more humid than Michigan ever will be. And then in Florida, there's just like a whole bunch of lizards everywhere. Or at least where I was at, there was so many lizards. Like there was lizards in our hotel.
okay. So
And
Florida is a very natural place. Like, even in the city, you find a lot of natural things there, nature related things.
yeah.
Okay. What is your perspective on the world? Like, how do you when the word world is given to you, like, what perspective do you have on it?
I just think about a whole lot of people.
So when you hear the word world, you just think of a lot of people. Like, why? Why do you think of people? Don't you feel like there's more to the world than just people? Like, why is it people? What effect have people done to you? Or, you know?
Because I've never been outside of the world. So I don't really know what the outside world is like, because I know that you can't really trust everything on social media. So it's like the media, and it can be like um, media that you think is trustworthy too. It's like they could say something about a different country or a different place, and they could straight up be lying to us. So instead of going with what I just read until I have another perspective of my own, I'm just gonna go with there's a whole bunch of people outside of like in the world.
Okay. I understand what you mean. So basically, you're not closed-minded to the fact that what the media tells us is the truth, but you're open-minded to the fact that until you experience going to different countries and actually traveling the world at your pace and at your time, then when you hear the word world, it will always just be people until you have your own experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what motivated you to be you, like who you are today, and what keeps you pushing? What motivated you, and what keeps you pushing?
God.
God. Okay, all right. So he's like your number one person. Like he's the one who keeps you here.
Yes.
Okay. And what could you change in the world?
Um, Probably because I know that there's like a lot of fake pastors and fake prophets who kind of just give their opinion instead of the actual word of God. So people just don't really know who God is, and it's not their fault. So if I
Okay,
could change that and show them who God really is, that's what I would do.
okay, I hear you. Um, do you? Oh, wait a minute. Do you? What do people in first world countries think about people in third world countries? Like, yeah, what do people in first world countries, because you're from the USA and you come from a third world country, I mean a first world country, like how do you guys see people in the third world country?
If I'm being completely honest, I have no idea. I know that, like, well, I don't know it, but when I think about it, I think about like not having as much technology as we have. Like, they probably don't like carry around cell phones like we do. They're probably more interactive with people than we are, because we don't really, we like interact with people through our phones, but they probably interact with people when they're actually around them, because it's like most people here will be in a whole like room with each other, and sometimes we'll talk, but for the most part we'll just like be on our phones. So
Okay,
people in third world countries probably don't do that.
okay. um I think those are all my questions. Those are all my questions.
Okay. I don't have that many questions for you, but I got like a few.
Okay.
So, education is a broad range. What specific about educate? Wait, yeah. What specific about education are you interested in?
When you say education, it's a broad range, and what specific education? Are you talking subject wise or general world wise, topic wise?
Like both. Like what's
Subject
specific
wise,
about? Yeah.
okay. Subject wise, I'm not interested in school, so I can't say which subject I'm interested in educationally, because history for me is a lie. I have my own theories about certain subjects, you know. In
Yeah.
general, what what education am I interested in? I'm interested in political education, especially corruption. So political education, travel education, um, basic common sense and basic teachings to people who are less fortunate type of education. I'm interested in the orphanage and people and children who can't go to school education. I'm basically interested in the little things that actually give the greatest impact in this world. Those are the types of educations I'm interested in.
Okay. So if you're interested in like political education and people who are less fortunate, how would you change that, or how would you impact that?
Okay, for those who are less fortunate, how would I change that? Well, I do have a dream, I have a vision that one day throughout Africa, I will build orphanages that actually treat children right and actually give them food, with people who donate from around the world. I will create schools within those orphanages, especially in the rural areas, because I'm from Africa. I live in Africa. I live in South Africa to be specific, and we're still a third world country. We're developing, and there's very minimum people who move from the rural areas and go to the city and actually make it in life, without being eaten up by the likes of the city and how the city is. um, so I would build orphanages in rural areas, I would build schools in rural areas, schools that that use donations and gifts from people outside the country and people inside the country to actually maintain them. Politically, how would I change things? There's a lot. There's a lot. There is a lot. Politically, I'd start with, I don't know. Yes, you guys have ministers in America, man. Minister of Science. Okay. So I feel like I'd start with each department, I'll start with each department and actually see what the problem is. Because corruption and politics does not come from the president. I mean, he can edge people on, but does not come from the president. Corruption comes from the little people under the president who are trying to make it in life and trying to earn more money. So I feel like I'll start there. I'll start seeing why people do this, why corruption is so important, or why corruption has such a big influence on people who are already earning more than the average person. So I feel like that's where I'll start. Another thing with that politically is that I would look into hidden documents, documents that governments have that the world is not supposed to see, the documents that keep the um the world leaders continuing with corruption, like, for instance, like a document which tells you about some type of theory or aliens. Like, they have a motive behind why they hit that, and that motive could be the one that motivates them to, I don't know, create something that will destroy humankind. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I feel like there are a lot of different places that start when it comes to the um political and corruption one. But yeah.
How would you get access to those documents?
You see, now the tricky part with that is if I had you asked if I why I'm interested in those topics and how I would change in those topics. Right? It didn't say which part I am in. If I was a regular like myself, I feel like I'd apply, not even apply, I'd become a self-taught spy. So basically, I would search for such documents through the internet, through incognito tab, because through incognito tab, it is much less likely for you to be found. I mean, it's just something that's not kept in your history bookmarks, but your router has a history of your website. So I feel like I'd start through the internet, close off my IP address, close off my location, or buy a set or buy another laptop, and always research and I'm in a certain area. But I feel like I'd start there because most things that we argue about in a daily life are actually hidden right in front of us. We just don't know where to start with it. So I'd be a self-taught um spy or a self-taught hacker, or I don't know, and then start there with the documents. Start with the things that are given to me beforehand and look at them. And through that, as I'm connecting the dots and reading more and more documents, you can start seeing that this is a lie, this is a lie. And maybe not even put myself out to the world and expose them there, but actually write a book that is produced, that I publish myself, and let the world read for itself. That's how I would do the whole document thing.
So, when you're looking at the documents and taking notes and researching them, how are you going to differentiate what's real from what's fake?
Okay. Personally, for that one, I feel like it depends on the person. If I believe that I'm super African, okay, I have more tradition in me than Western tendencies. So where there's smoke, there's fire. If something is written down in a document, especially if it's hidden in a what do you call it? In a extension in the URL where a normal person or a basic person wouldn't think of searching that type of URL or extension, then obviously there's something in that document that's true. And also remember that documents throughout the internet, they spread. Just because you find one document paper does not mean that it's false. They spread differently so that the government can build doubt within you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So like I feel like there would be parts I believe and parts I wouldn't believe because as you grow up, you hear stories from your parents and your family by word of mouth that this and this happens in the world, but you won't believe. Like there's this thing where Western people, I don't know, I can't say that for being recorded, but there is a thing where Western people and African people are quicker to believe something because of idioms and proverbs that we use on a daily basis. There's certain things and writings that you need to be able to differentiate between a lie and something real. Like if a rumor starts, where a rumor starts, there's always fire. If somebody says that this girl lost her virginity today, it could be a lie. But for that person to start saying that, there was something that happened, an altercation between that person and the other girl. So it does not mean that the girl kissed him or something. She could have just denied him. But the point that he got rejected and he was angry, he started a whole virginity rumor. You see what I'm saying? Is that where there's smoke, there's fire. And so through those documents, I feel like it will all be about analyzing how well you analyze those documents and how well you're able to memorize and to think back. When you read this document, you're able to reference back to that document, and make a whole link. It'll be like an FBI board, those boards with different pictures and webs and whatnot. It would be like that. Like you need to use your own brain and see past the blind sheet that has been put in front of you. Do you understand? You'd have to access your third eye. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How does education relate to travel?
How does education relate to travel? Okay. For me, the more you know, the better and the more exciting you travel. As in what you're taught in school, you're taught about, I don't know how to put in words. You're taught about how you're expected to work. Basically, school produces employees, not employers. So the way education relates in travel is the fact that you need to look past when you're being taught with your basic subjects, such as accounting, such as traveling. What you take from that, the knowledge that you take from that, you need to apply it in your real life. And whatever you learn from accounting, you would need to apply it when planning your budget, planning how you're going to move on from here to how much you want to spend. So education relates in many ways. It gives us common sense to do something that we're not prepared for the real world, you see. So education gives us basic common sense that we need to apply. So that's how I believe education work is.
Okay, so you also talked about how you are interested in travel. Have you thought about where you would like to travel, or and who you would like to travel with, like your friends or by yourself? Hello? Oops, did you hear that? Did you hear me? Hello? Dzanga? Hello? Hello? Okay.
Welcome back, guys.
Oh, hello?
Okay. You're good.
Okay, cool.
I'm making
Sorry
you both.
about that.
No, you're fine.
My phone
I'm glad you guys both got
overheated
back here. The
and
video
it
is so
kicked me
promptly.
out.
I'm out again. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, so
Sorry. Yeah.
oh no, that's fine. I thought it was my phone because someone had called me, and then when I came back, it was all laggy.
Okay.
But we left off with, have you thought about where you would like to travel, and would you travel alone or with your friends or family?
Oh my God. Okay. This one I can talk a lot for. Um, I have thought about where I want to travel. My favorite place that I want to travel to, the one place that I want to travel to, like I feel like I'd settle down in is Jamaica, like just the Caribbean islands. Like I would, I would die to live there. So, Jamaica is the place I know I'm definitely gonna settle down in for some time in my life. But currently, after I'm done with high school, because I'm doing my last year, I want to first go to Bali. I want to go to India, Bali. And would I travel with friends or alone? I would travel alone. I would travel alone because you get to experience more. You get to be peaceful, you get to experience serenity, and you actually you get to be in tranquility with yourself. So like with friends, it's all about gonna be the partying and the are we meeting new guys? Are we doing this? When you're alone, you actually get to feel the wonders of the world. You get to open your eyes more and see the world in a different perspective, heal
Mm-hmm.
a better you by yourself. And also, when you travel alone, you make new friends. So I would travel alone and I would, the two definite places that I really need to go to before I'm 21 or before I'm 23, I don't know, is Jamaica and India. And then another place I would love to travel to is Greece. Yeah.
That's actually interesting because my mom, she really wants to go to Greece. But so when you're traveling, is that when you're gonna? Hello.
Sorry?
Okay. When you're traveling, are you gonna be doing your um research about the education topics that you like as well, or is that just gonna be specifically for your time to just see the world?
Um, I don't know. Whenever I think of traveling, I always think of traveling in the sense of relaxing. I don't think I'd enjoy traveling and working at the same time. But I do have exceptions. If I move to Greece, right, for a whole month or two, then I'd also learn about the different types of education that I'm interested in, how Greece operates with their corruption, how Greece operates with orphanages and things like that. So it also depends on the time span that I'm in that country that would determine if I'm also going to do a little bit of research or am I just there to relax and actually work on me.
Okay, that makes sense. So, do you believe that all countries are corrupt, or just most of them, or some of them?
Um, all countries are corrupt. That's not a question to be asked. All countries are corrupt, but they're not corrupt by choice. They're corrupt because of people who rule each country. Like, if you've done a little bit of research, right? There's certain people in the world that there's a difference between public wealth and private wealth. There are people in the world who own the people who own the World Bank, those brothers, if you do some research on them, each time when a president is inaugurated or when a president is put in their seat, they always meet with those certain people. Those certain people determine and they tell the president how the world is going to work, how their country is going to work, how they want their country to stay. So all countries are corrupt, but not by choice, but because by force. That was not a sentence, but you know what I said. Not because of choice, but by force. That's my theory on it. Yeah.
So you believe that so that countries aren't really run by like presidents and stuff, but they're run by like the richest families in the world who believe that they like own the world.
Yes. Yes. The president type of thing is as a facade. It's to make humans, how the human body and the human soul, human spirit has a tendency, you wouldn't live if you didn't believe in something higher. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, for instance, like you wouldn't, I don't want to say you wouldn't live, but you wouldn't be able to cope without knowing that there's something higher that you are going to live for. Like for instance, you live because you know there's a God who's going to allow you to enter the gates of heaven, right? So there's some humans in the world that have this sheet of paper put in front of them where they believe that each country ends at a presidency, whereas those presidents have hired people talking to them. So definitely the world is a really mysterious place, man. So yes, presidents are ruled by higher people, and those people are people who think they own the world just because they own the most banks or they own the most money in the world.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with that. And that's why I believe that this is just me like elaborating on your thing because I think this is interesting. But that's why I feel like the world is so corrupt because they make a lot of their money like you know how like sex trafficking was really really big this year?
Yes, definitely.
Um
Yo,
yeah, I believe it was so big this year because usually people are out and about, but this year everyone was at home. And sex trafficking is one of the ways that the families in the world like make them a lot of their money. So it was a problem for them because nobody was out, so they couldn't really make any money. And then I don't know if you heard about this, but it was in Atlanta. There was like a Trump, he had sent like some people to go and raid this one house, and there was like 32 kids with some police officers like found in this abandoned building. And people say that they don't know what it is, but I'm almost sure that those kids were going to be sex trafficked. And I don't know why no one's talking about it because I think that's a really good thing that Trump has done for those kids. Because if they weren't found, who knows what would have happened to them. But I have like I think one more question.
can I elaborate on that if you don't mind?
Yes, of course.
Um, you know how have you noticed how there are certain things that presidents or people who rule countries say. They always say something in one of their speeches in their terms, in their 4 years of ruling the country. They will always say something that makes you think out of the box. I believe, like, let me use children who've gone missing and never found, right? I believe that they're not dead, and well, not all, some are dead. I mean, you get that on the news. Some are dead and some are not dead, right? I believe that those children are just moved to another country. And the higher people who rule the presidents, the people who think they own the world, they use those children for certain things and change their identities. Like, I feel like they use people as their guinea pigs. They do research on them, but it has to be top secret just because if we found out, they wouldn't be able to control the world anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. Okay.
Ooh, have you watched the movie What Happened to Monday?
Yes.
I was gonna say, like, exactly what happens in that movie, the whole child whatnot thingy. I feel like that's what happens in our world, but it's just not seen yet.
Yeah, I believe that that could happen too because I know there's like, or maybe it's not like this anymore, but I know at one point there was like a few countries where you couldn't exceed a certain amount of kids. So I believe that that's definitely something that could have happened.
Yeah.
So, for education, are you more interested about like educating yourself, or are you more interested in like educating yourself so that you can educate other people?
Hmm. That's a tricky one. I'm interested in both. In my defense, education has two views. Education can be what you're taught at school, or education can be what you decide to teach yourself from whatever resources you get throughout your lifetime, right?
Mm,
So I prefer educating myself. I prefer educating myself because when I'm educating myself, I question myself. And when I question myself, I go and I do more research. but I also prefer educating myself to educate others. The problem with that is you can never trust somebody. If you're going to educate somebody else about higher the people who rule the world, those ones with the most money, they can go off at any time and go tell somebody they think is doesn't have power in the world, but that person has power. And so it's gonna come back to you and you're gonna die knowing all these things, but without revealing it. So I would prefer educating myself, and as I grow old and I have children, I teach my children how to live around the world like that. Do you understand? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I know that a lot of people who like try to educate people about the systems that we have in the world, usually the government will like threaten them. Like, have you heard of Dr. Zebi?
Sorry?
I said, have you heard of Dr. Zebi?
Yes, I've heard of Dr. Him. Dr. Sebi. The herbalist who was killed 2 years or 2 years after Nipsey's death. Him.
Yeah, do you know like why they killed him and stuff?
Yes, I know why they killed him. It is because of how he knew how to cure cancer, HIV, all man-made diseases. He knew how to cure all man-made diseases through herbs. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then like so I know a lot of people who have tried to like elaborate on him, like Nipsey Hussle. He said that he was gonna make a movie about Dr. ZB, and then he gets
They
shot and
killed.
killed. So I know, yeah, so I know a lot of people who have like tried to expose things that people have done or like expose higher forms of government. So how would you go about that without like the government literally trying to kill you pretty much?
Like I said the first time, it would be me writing a whole book about it, me taking down notes. I feel like it would be one of those typical, she passed away 30 years ago, and this book was discovered by her kids about how the government rules, and then my kids will put it out there. That's just how I imagine it. But slowly and surely, I feel like I'll start within my own family, start with my sisters, start with the younger ones, make them start thinking out of the box. Because I mean, you can't convince an older person that the world is like this. They've lived their lives, or they know that they've lived majority of their lives. So when you start telling them
Mhm.
such, it's like you're trying to ruin or disturb their peace. They don't understand where we're coming from. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I feel like it would be a thing of people finding out my notes, people finding out books, or me just randomly, leaving notes in certain areas of the world, leaving certain books here, leaving certain books there. That's how I feel like I'll do it. And another thing is, I don't think I'd have to hide behind it. The reason we can't find out a lot about the world, or we are limited to so much, is because of the different languages. I'm pretty sure if you go to Egypt and you learn how to read the scribes that are kept in pyramids and the scribes that are kept in sacred places, you would find a lot about this world, a hell a lot. But you see, the problem is that learning a new language takes time, and throughout that time, if somebody finds out, you could put yourself in danger. I hope I'm making sense.
You are.
Hmm.
That's all the questions that I have.
Okay. Which topic are you looking into?
Ignorance.
Oh, oh my God. Oh my God. I could talk a lot about that. But thank you for being an interviewee for me.
Of course.
Sorry?
Oh, I just said of course.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Of course. Talk to you later.
You too.
Bye.
Are you gonna save the recording or? Oh.